Unless you've been hiding under a rock, it's pretty hard to miss Prince Harry all over the newspapers. But what is interesting is that his hair looks apparently much thicker and fuller. In today's episode of Dr. Noor, I take you through what Prince Harry may have done to his hair and what you guys can do if you too are suffering from hair loss. Let's take a look at Prince Harry. In previous years, we can see that he was suffering from what we call male pattern baldness, which essentially is where we get thinning and loss of the hair over the hairline at the front and also the crown of the hair. Now, this is a condition that is super common. Unfortunately, about 1 in 2 men over the age of 40 do suffer from male pattern baldness. Now, obviously, some people get bolder quicker than others, maybe in their 20s, and some people a little bit older as well. It is unfortunate. It can occur in both men and women, although it tends to be more common in men. But why does male pattern baldness actually happen? Well, it's due to a genetically determined sensitivity to the effects of something called dihydrotestosterone. And it's thought that dihydrotestosterone shortens the growth phase of hair from the usual 3 to 6 years to about a few weeks to a few months. And it's this effect, plus the miniaturization of the hair follicle, that fewer hairs are produced and they look a lot thinner and there's more hair loss, which is really unfortunate. And we can clearly see this in, say, King Charles and in Prince William and now in Prince Harry as well. Okay, Dr. Norris, so we know that a huge proportion of men are going to lose their hair, and maybe even women as well, over a period of their lives. But what can we do to treat this? Well, at the moment, there are several techniques that we can do to help to replenish hair stores and to also help people to regain their hair stores back as well. The first of which you may have heard of is hair transplantation. And essentially what would happen is the person who was harvesting the hair would take the hair follicles from the donor site, which is typically from the sides or the back of the head, which are known to be the stronger areas. These are permanent hairs. And they would take those follicles, they're placed in the areas that look a bit thinner and also have got the hair loss as well. This procedure is useful for people, for example, who suffer from male pattern baldness, but is not so useful for people who do suffer from alopecia areata because it has no impact on regrowth of the hairs. Traditionally, hair transplantation used to take a really long time. It used to be several sessions, many hours at a time, over a period of 3 to 6 months, and the person would have to keep going backwards and forwards, until they achieved their final outcome. Now, fast forward to today, harvesting of the hair follicles tends to be a bit more efficient. Now, this can still be done either manually, whereby the person who's doing the procedure may manually pick out the hair follicles and place them into the recipient site, and this can take up to 7 to 8 hours in a time, but they can yield a graft of up to 750 to 2,000 follicles in one sitting, which is humongous. Not only do we have people who are manually doing this, we do also have the advent of robots, and robots have been shown to be a lot quicker and more efficient at harvesting those hair follicles and placing them into the recipient sites, thus giving you a lot faster of a yield. But of course, this does come with a slightly higher price tag. Now, what happens after transplantation is that those hairs in the recipient site will immediately fall out and they will regrow after about 1 to 2 months. So this is not a real quick fix. It does take a lot of time for the hair to regrow back, which may possibly be what our friend Prince Harry has done, because there are some telltale signs in some of his pictures in the recent interview whereby if you look at the hairline very closely, you can see there is some redness there, which can indicate one of the side effects of hair transplantation, which tends to be redness or swelling of the area that has been the recipient site. So there are some telltale signs right there, possibly. Another method that can be used to restore hair is something called PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. Now, some of you may have heard of this through athletes, for example, who use PRP to fix sporting injuries. They may have a bit of tennis elbow and they use PRP for this. But did you know that you can also use PRP in designated areas in the scalp to help to regenerate and regrow the hair? Well, you certainly can. Now, PRP is essentially where blood is taken from the person, so that means that you don't need to use any medication, but you're using your own blood. It's spun around very fast in a centrifuge, and the platelets, which are components of the blood, are extracted out from that blood sample. Now, platelets are our, if you like, our first responders. If we cut ourselves, they rush to the rescue and they help us to heal. But platelets also contain a number of growth factors and lots of proteins that aid for tissue healing and repair as well. So you can imagine why these platelets would be so precious if we're going to take that, extract it from our blood and inject it into those designated areas in the scalp. Surely it will help to promote our hair growth and also repairing as well. Naturally, this will also take a bit of time. Unfortunately, these procedures don't happen overnight and you need a lot of time, a lot of sessions for them to actually have an effect. But if you don't like the sounds of a hair transplantation or PRP, there are some other options that you may be able to discuss with your medical doctor. One of these is a topical lotion, which can be placed on the scalp, which actually helps to stimulate new hair growth. There are also some oral medications that can be taken on the advice of your medical doctor, of course, that can help to stimulate the new hair growth by inhibiting the hormone that destroys the hair follicle. So there are some pretty cool things out there. Now, what do I think that Prince Harry has done? Well, as I speculated before, I think he may have had some hair transplantation, and I can see this because gradually over time, you can see through all of his pictures throughout the last 5 to 7 years, his hair has gradually got thicker, which is in keeping with having hair transplantation over a period of a number of sessions. But also other signs, if we look more closely, are the telling signs around his hairline that he's got a little bit of redness there, maybe some swelling that may indicate a recent hair transplantation session perhaps. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and of course I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any questions or comments, please drop me a line below and I'll see you on the next one. Take care and stay healthy.
See the patient's platelets. That's crazy, isn't it?
You know, it's amazing because the artificial intelligence in it makes sure that what it's harvesting on the back doesn't create an uneven look for you.
Yep.